Okay, we got a video about devilman crybaby. I ain't got much to say. I'm gonna just watch this, but the ending was sad, bro. Sad and just dark.
Finishing Devilman Crybaby months back instantly threw me off of its track. I hadn't been spoiled despite watching it much later than most people, and I didn't expect the ending that ended up happening. It made me wonder, what was the point of it all? If it's just meant as an enjoyable, visceral, sensory overload, why end so sad? Why end with a whimper? A lightning-fast decline that happens almost too fast to fully understand, until you get there and you're just like, oh, that really just happened, didn't it?
Yep.
I talked to a few other people and I watched some other videos and I didn't really see anyone else with an answer to that either, but finally, months after watching it, I feel like I think I understand the point of Devilman Crybaby.
Let's
The
hear
story
it.
makes multiple things clear, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to hone in on 3 that I think are most crucial. 1 is the idea of change, the positives, the negatives. 2, freak accidents can happen. God could restart the world at any time if he saw fit. And 3 is the idea of love. Where does it come from? And what really is it? All 3 of these ideas tie in perfectly for an amazingly powerful message, but to get there, I'm going to have to run through them all in detail. So first is the idea of change. For change, specifically the way humans can and will push themselves to adapt for success under the right situations. The whole idea of Devilman Crybaby is that small sets of highly determined people are willing to risk a horrific death in the name of transformation. Sometimes this is directed in ways that only flatter themselves, but regardless, the drive is there, the want to improve and move forward, even sometimes at the expense of others. Akira is one of the few main characters in the story who are not actively seeking this power. He's a crybaby, someone good at heart who tries his best but will get serious if he feels others need his help. A lonely kid, largely abandoned by his parents who are working overseas. He doesn't want other people to feel alone like he does. This drive is what places him at a greater capacity and strength when an entering demon arrives. His willpower is not something so fragile that it can ever be contented, satisfied, and nullified with a sense of accomplishment. There are always higher heights, and the core of his yearning doesn't come from the success of his actions, but the relief that he provides for others. You see this later with 2 other runners whose goal is to run faster, to be acknowledged and respected, but since the thing that they seek is praise and respect, to be feared by competing runners, them knowing that the only thing that made them that way, that made them that strong, is not largely their own power or will, keeps their powers limited and less controlled. In a way, since in seeking this they give up their personal drive and challenge for an unearned luxury, it feels unsatisfying to them, while Akira's abilities are the opposite. They only exist to aid his personal drive. The weapon, being half-devil, does 2 opposite things for them. Akira can only defend innocent people by killing devils, and only can kill devils by becoming an even stronger devil. He earns it. This is what makes him worthy of the power of the demon Amon, and Ryo knows that. He sees that intense passion and love, that willpower that cannot be hindered by an increase in power, and that's why he subjects him to it. He starts the blood sports, showing the unrivaled power and suffering devils can cause, making Akira's heart open to change, open to accept the great power of Amon into his heart. But his human will cannot be broken. It's stronger, and Ryu knows that. Ryo also cares for Akira and trusts him, as Akira does him. He knows, aside from God himself, Akira could likely be his biggest ally or his biggest threat. So he does all he can to hopefully ensure that Akira will see his side of things. The problem is, Ryo doesn't understand the human heart. As Ryo, later exposed, is Satan himself. 2. Number 2 is the idea that if humanity takes a wrong course, if the devil overwhelms them with temptation, understand the human heart. As Ryo, later exposed, is Satan himself. be his biggest
Hold on,
ally
this
or
part
his
was hard,
biggest
though.
threat. So he does all he can to hopefully ensure that
Bro, this
Akira will
part
see
was
his side of
hard.
things. The problem is, Ryo
That
doesn't
shit was hard.
understand the human heart.
He don't.
As Ryu, later exposed, is Satan himself. I'll tie most of this part in later. But for now, number 2. Number 2 is the idea that if humanity takes a wrong course, if the devil overwhelms them with temptation and confusion, if the humans fail, or if something else horrible goes wrong, God could step in, start over, wipe the slate clean, try again. So there's a pressure there. The show's mythology clearly takes on an idea that follows Christian faith as the sort of framework for both the God and the devil in Devilman Crybaby's story. So there's a lot of biblical related things that carry over. Whether it's the biblical story of Noah's Ark, God wiping the earth with water and restarting humanity with just a few survivors, or whether it be the even mentioned in the anime event when the earth was restarted after the devil almost succeeded in capturing the earth. This, of course, is a battle on a cosmic and infinite scale, mythological, a war that, in theory, could actually never reach its resolution or end. The devil almost succeeding, God striking him down, and repeat it forever. The question is, can there be anything to change this course? Obviously, excluding the things that would be less story-related and more theological, like why doesn't God just kill Satan? Well, there's lots of different theological arguments spanning centuries on why or why not, but within the context of the understood theology, that God doesn't kill Satan, that's where the story is thriving, and that's where we need to ask the questions. How can we stop this cycle? To know that answer, we need to know, most importantly, what is on the table. First is that the seeming psychopath Ryo, after being weakened, will eventually reawaken to his place at the highest evil and try for destruction. If he cannot truly die, what will stop him? Is all life doomed to repeat forever? All of humanity being ignorantly caught up in the crossfire, contributing to their own demise? That seems pretty bleak and hopeless. But it couldn't not cross my mind because the show seems to end so bleakly, and there is no certainty that anything changed by the end of the story. It feels irritating, hopeless, meaningless, like you watched all of these characters interact, work on their games, their modeling, live their lives, get jobs, become friends, and in the end, none of it mattered. Nothing they did could stop them from absolute destruction. An impending punishment would permanently wipe them from the earth. Even if, optimistically, we could assume that some of the people like Miki's dad went to heaven after death, it doesn't show anything like that. And the other good people are seemingly wiped from existence, eternally, like a light stain scrubbed off of a countertop. Not a speck of their existence to remain or matter at all. Even with humanity being reborn after this defeat, the people who were lost can never truly come back, and the new people to come are eventually going to be wiped out by Ryu once he regains his power in another cycle and tries again. But there is one more component to this situation, one that completely changes the way that I see the perspective of Devilman Crybaby. Number 3 is love. The show asks in a broad way, what is love? How does it show itself? Where does it come from? And how does that show its true colors? What is it? The thing that love really represents. Even in the main trailer, this question is posed to a thoughtful Ryo. They ask, can a demon, a devil, understand love? This is the key to Devilman's message, but it isn't the full message, just a tool to open the door. The thing that made Akira open the power of Amon and be able to stand up against and take on his enemies is the intense want to change, to be stronger in order to save those that he cares about. Why? Well, probably just because he likes them initially, but after getting the power of the Devilman and seeing the hate, the vitriol, the little the people are willing to support, believe, and have faith in one another, it breaks his heart more and more through the series. He knows the power of humans. He knows from Miki's dad that God created man above devils, to be honed into the image of God himself. He sees the value in humans, and that's why he loves. Why he loves drives him to do what he does in the story. Because that love, the feeling no one seems to be able to describe, or explain is something synonymous, I think, with the will of mankind. Love is the human spirit. Put a weight on my back and I won't buckle. Bring cruelty on others and I will stop you. It's the central strength that ties everyone who is human together. Something that, even in the face of absolute evil, the psychopathic devil Rio is willing to extend a hand. It can see improvement in the heartless, motivation in the unmotivated. He grew up with Rio. He loves him. He wants to have a better future for him to see what he sees, and Rio recognized there is something inside of Akira too. It's the part of humans that he's still most confused with, that he most is unable to understand. That resilience. Love is patient. Love is kind. It doesn't envy, it doesn't dishonor others, it keeps no record of wrongs. More so, with Akira's view on Rio, love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love never fails. Much of what I just said is from the famous love chapter in the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13. But get this, the reason I felt so stumped by Devilman Crybaby because I thought that love did fail. Akira dies in Devilman Crybaby. Yeah. So does Miki, and her father, and her mother, and her little brother too, and seemingly undeservedly. Every living thing on the earth is horribly massacred in the name of Ryu's evil, an ever-repeating plot. Aside from God, Ryo is the only one who gets to live to tell the tale. Not the good people who innocently and diligently lived their own lives, but the core of evil itself. That's who gets to move on. It feels so hopeless. But for more than 2 months, I completely missed the point. It's not hopeless, and here's why. Those final moments, the tears, the emotions that Ryo feels for losing Akira, this is his first time feeling loss. He knew Akira was weaker, that he wouldn't succeed, but for once, winning didn't feel like a simple equation. He lost something that he couldn't quite grasp. This feeling, this thing Akira possessed inside of him, not the demon, but the will of mankind. Love. It cost all of humanity, but Ryo finally got the twinkle in his eye. He just might have started to understand, to gain love, to feel. Devilman is about change. It's about willpower, spiral over anti-spiral, and the core value of the human spirit. The one thing that can overcome all, but humans lose, just as I said. Akira overcomes his devil body, his lust for evil and murder, and keeps his morality, his love, like he even gets some other devilmen to do. Still, the show ends with everyone gone. It's time to start over. Was all of humanity, the thousands of years leading up to this moment, just to teach the devil about love? Was it in God's plan, or a result in spite of it? And finally, will Akira's humanity have reached him? Even though humanity failed once, multiple times, will the power of one person's heart shift the tide for the fate of all coming humans? It's the idea that even in death, the actions we make can leave marks. Even in the face of absolute, unchangeable evil, there can be a human with a will that is even harder to break. One who will not buckle under that weight. Atlas is a man. He is many. Men and women, human beings standing up for themselves and for the idea of humanity, even though the ending is bleak. Everyone you know about and care about in the story dies. There is one thing that does survive. The most important thing of all. A glimmer in the devil's eye. A realization. A dream. Someone else's heart. And sometimes that's all it takes to leave the most impact. To change history. Devilman Crybaby proposes that the will of mankind, the human spirit, the true essence of love is so powerful that even beyond death, even when all the chips are down and everyone is defeated, that the human spirit will live on, impacting and changing the course of the future. So then, what about all of the other characters? The humans. Was it all a waste of time? Like I've said, all of the human encounters basically didn't impact the course of the story at all. No, that's actually wrong too. It was worth it. Because in real life, you never know when the ball is going to be lobbed inside your court. You never know which human will be handed an opportunity to shine, or end up being the tide turner in a long string of other human decisions. Everybody unconsciously moves the chips in their lives slightly, and if enough people move them in a positive way, life changes for the better. More opportunities open, and with those opportunities, more people have the potential to make good on them. In this case, all the good people in Akira's life, Miki, his foster parents, they all helped bolster and influence Akira's mindset. A mindset that was so unbreakably driven with human compassion that it could even change the heart of the devil.
It's sad, bro. Like, I've been quiet this whole reaction because it's just sad, bro.
Big thank you to The Single Way Out, Lachlan So Stupid, Akio, A Quiet Respect, Dolphinos, Whizbang2093, Frillneck Lizard, Thomas Greenway, CJ, Sam Lloyd, and all of my other patrons. Have a great week, and I plan to see you all soon.
Fact. Peace. Yeah, that's it, bro. I've been quiet, bro. It's just sad. Peace.